All right. So we all know season 6 was trash, but what was visually the most appealing to all of you?
Hmm,
Visually,
Mm.
what
I'm
looked the best?
gonna have to say, unfortunately, Velma for me,
Yeah.
because Thunder Force Left Behind and Marcy's mom's, well, especially Marcy's mom, nothing special.
Uncanny Valley. Yeah.
Chippendale had potential, but a lot of the 3D assets just didn't blend very well.
You
to me.
love the Uncanny Valley Viking dude.
I like the clay guy.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
Clay Guy. Clay Guy was cool. But
yeah, he's fine.
overall, yeah, I don't know. Klops or no, that's
Yeah.
the Mad TV.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sinister, what do you got? You got an answer?
I'm gonna just because even when we were watching it, I really like I wouldn't say the entirety of Velma, but the um visually I liked all the her a lot
Hallucinations.
of hallucinations. Thank you.
Yeah, her
Freaking brain not
hallucinations.
working.
Her hallucinations were pretty well animated. So
That was like some of the best. Yeah.
Especially
Sprinks.
when
Oh,
she gets grabbed by the arm and the hand melds into her arm
Yeah.
through her shoulder. That looked really good.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I like the visual of all the different animation styles and then puppeteering and live action all blending together. That didn't seem too off-putting at
Yeah.
times.
I
That's
think
fair.
I would have. Yeah, I would have liked. I think I would have been a little bit more into the Chippendale one if there had been a little bit more of the. Because I think we only saw like really one, like puppeted thing. I kind of would have liked to seen just a little bit more of that, and maybe a little bit smoother animation overlay, kind of. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I wish they didn't go lazy and actually make a 2D. Which one was it? Chip? Was the
Yeah,
no, yeah,
and yeah, it was chipped. Yeah, Dale was
yeah,
the other one. Yeah.
yeah. Chip was 3D masquerading as 2D. I think it would have been better if they actually did 2D.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But that's more subjective.
Yeah.
It
I'm
is,
kind
but
of
That goes
I
for the
think
question, anyways.
yeah.
yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle for both. I think Velma overall had the best like visual appeal, whereas a Chippendale I think had the most potential, but it was like too much stimulus for my brain. Like it was hard for me to focus on certain things.
I can
So
see that.
Yeah, because I think, and I think we talked about it in the video or the podcast about the like because the Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is what it's heavily based on.
mhm.
I think if not intentionally, unintentionally in some form, but uh, it was all one animation style. It was all like drawn animation or that style of drawn animation CGI, and it so even though there's a lot going on screen, it all kind of looks similar. So it all kind of works, even though it's a lot going on. With this, there's a lot going on, and it's a lot of different animation styles. So it just kind of becomes like like a lot more to deal with because you have to focus on each part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Overall, to me, this sounds like a very lengthy cold open.
Yeah. I mean, I did
Yes.
start the question. Welcome to
Wait.
season 6 recap. We fucking made it.
This was a tough one. This was
Yeah.
tough to get
Yeah.
through.
I'm a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
I'm a character called Sinister Boy.
Springs.
Oh, still in recovery. I got another question. What did you do to recover?
I don't think I did anything differently, actually.
How did you? So you didn't need to cope with anything.
I suffered. No, I don't have any vices for suffering. I just deal with it.
No, you play video games. That's a vice.
Yeah, but I didn't play any
Modern
games that
society. Yeah.
on any of these.
What about you,
I had
Sinister?
to
Yeah.
I had to watch a lot of Ted Lasso to get
Never heard
watch
of
a
it.
lot of Ted. You never heard? Oh, maybe it's something later on. No, but yeah, either that or I watched something that I was like I really loved growing up, or or something like that. That it aged well, or something. So something really really good to kind of wash out the not good stuff.
What about you, Springs? Any advices to
I
wash
ordered
the
3 meat mountains at Arby's.
holy
I'm
shit?
joking. I didn't do that.
Meat
No,
mounds.
that's the
I was
ordinary.
gonna say no one eats at Arby's.
How can you say that? They're all over the place. How can nobody be eating there?
You did
I
nothing
don't
out of the
think
ordinary,
anything
you said,
that-
Springs?
No, I think I watched a couple movies, but that was just normal.
That's fair.
You told me you watched Dancing in the Rain or something, and you said it was
Dancing in
really.
the Rain.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
something.
I did not watch Dancing in the Rain. I can tell you the movie I watched after Thunder Force, which I think was the last one we did. I saw Emperor's New Groove.
Have you
Oh.
never seen that before?
No, I've seen it before.
Oh, okay, this is the way you put that. Was like I watched and I was
I
like,
saw
oh,
Emperor's New Groove, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and The
Oh.
Cable Guy.
That's fair. Good choices.
I guess after Velma, I saw the Mystery Incorporated animated show, the pilot for it.
mhm.
Yeah, that's a
That
good
was-
way
that was
to
right after.
recover. It's like,
Good
Yeah.
content.
remember that
Oh, I
someone out
listened
there
to
actually.
Scooby Doo.
I listened to Rick Manning's Mystery.
Oh,
Listen to something that at least pays respect to Hanna-Barbera, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah. I returned to history and waifus, so I binged Azure Lane.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah, I know. I'll return to my vice.
What are you gonna do?
I'll shoot out a question.
You have a question?
I have 3 that are not our normal kinds, and they're each targeted to one of you. Who wants to get questioned
Oh, Sinister
first?
does. Sinister
Yeah.
definitely
Sinister does. All right.
I guess Sinister does. Yeah.
So we went through this whole season. You were a part of every one,
Mhm.
and you gave 2s
Across the board. pretty
across
much.
4.
Mhm.
One of them you gave Thunder Force. You gave a 4. The rest you gave 2s.
Mhm.
So my question to you is there what would have to happen for you to give a 1 to something? We went through our worst things,
Yeah.
and it didn't make it. So what would achieve that?
The Velma definitely I think came closest. Velma was really close. The only thing that saved Velma was the animation was pretty damn good. Because I didn't I was like I don't wanna. It was worth like an extra point because like I feel like for a 1, everything has to like there has to be pretty much nothing like nothing redeeming really like it for any part of it. So like the story can be trash, the acting can be trash, but if the camera work is like really really good, or it kind of like almost saves it from that. But but like I said, if I had to like gun to my head, tied to a chair, no bottom on it,
It's very specific.
what?
Very specific.
Oh yeah. I was no, sorry. Uh, probably I would give it a 1. That would be the closest one I give a 1. I just haven't found. I don't. Yeah. So far, nothing we've had. I don't think has had basically just everything be wrong with it. Right. I feel like a 1 is just. And I know people. I think we've talked about it, but someone in the audience would be like, "Why don't you just give it a 0?" And I'm like, "Well, if it's a 0, it would be like nothing. It wouldn't be a movie. It would just be.
Didn't exist.
It
Oh, it
didn't
did state
exist.
0.
Yeah.
It's just you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Everything's a 0 until you see it, but it has like a phantom number or something. I don't know. So, yeah. If I was to give any of these a 1, I feel like the one I'd feel most comfortable giving a 1 would be Velma. But the animation was
Yeah.
just
I'd
too
like-
good to.
The
I'd like
artist
to bounce off the question.
Oh.
That one.
Mhm.
Sinister, I'm not sure if you brought it up in Art and All That Glitters, number 0 first pod. But how do you feel towards 0.5s in ratings? For example, like Velma wasn't a 1.5.
Just to keep it easier in my own brain, because if I start doing like 0.5 or something, it becomes kind of it's harder for me to remember like a point like this is like a point solid 7.5 or solid whatever 7.5 whatever way you put it, or I don't know, it's weird because then I would have to figure out in my brain what constant what only goes half of the way, like what am I gonna like, and then I have to like rethink about or recontextualize like everything I think about a movie and like actually give it like a solid point system. Like okay, uh, I mean obviously the stuff is all vague anyways because it's all personal in some form. Even how we do it, we have a subjective and an objective, but it's ostensibly still personal bias involved. Uh, even then. So I don't really do 0.5s because I like to keep a little bit of like a solid number or a solid thing so that I can because I feel like once you get into like the halves or I mean granted even freaking everybody's like half star or every site gives like option for a half, but I don't know, I've never really liked the idea of going like half because it seems like I really I don't want to give this, but I'll give it that because it sounds like I'm trying to be nicer to it or I'm trying to be, and I don't know. I think you should just stick to your guns and just be like, nope, that's a 1. Nope, that's a 4. That's a
You think
I think
0.5s are kind of like cop outs?
I'm not. Listen, I'm not bashing you guys. I think because you guys do it, and I don't have a problem with that. But for me personally, I think it just seems like I'm trying to be generous, or I guess in the form of like Velma, there would be like a middle ground, and I think I should stick with like, okay, this is for me. This is a 2, and if I say it's a 2, it's a 2 for me, and that's it's not like I'm like, well, it's a 1, but I like this thing, so I'll bump it up a little bit. And it's like, no, I'm going to be fair to it. It's 2.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm
Yeah,
sure that'll make no sense when I hear it back, but
I mean, like the only thing
There's something there.
I mean, like the only thing I really have to add on to it is I kind of agree with you. Like even like my objective rating is purely on writing, so I do like the animation because I do feel like the artists put in the work. Because like, as you said, there's the hallucination animations, like with it crawling on out of Velma's skin, was actually really good, and I just feel bad for the artist that put so much effort in because they were let down by the script.
yeah, I agree. It's that, and I guess that kind of comes back to what I think we've talked about a little bit, and I'm sure in all the episodes you'll always hear me say I like the kernel of the idea of something is really really good. But not to get off too track of the question that Crimson asked, but you can learn, I think, almost as much, if not more, from something that's bad as you can from something that's good. And there's good stuff, even in the word. I mean, even like it's so bad it's good kind of quality. There's always something that is, I think, inherently good because even I think the laziest person in the world has the ability to do good work, even if it's only like a microcosm of the entire project or something. And most of these people are not trying to make a bad movie when they're making it. Usually they're inexperienced or whatever, or they're trying to, or a bad show or something,
Mm-hmm.
And especially in Velma, they had a lot of budget, they had a lot of stuff put behind it, so they got really good people to do most of the stuff. I think they kind of maybe lowered the budget for the writing. Not pointing any fingers, but the artists,
No, not at all.
because honestly, because when you're doing animation stuff, you need to have really good artists, you need to have really good animators, you know, and those things go hand in hand. And if that sucks, then inherently you're just it's not going to be very good. Um, so I think they did a good enough job where I can watch bits of like the stuff they did, like especially the hallucination scenes and you know some other like kind of gags that they did and all that stuff, and I feel comfortable giving that like its own point to add on. So Velma is a 1, but because the animation's so good, it's a 2.
And Sprinks, you got a question to throw out there? I'd imagine,
A question?
Yeah, maybe a little
or
question?
something. I don't know.
Sorry, Crimson. I legit
threw out
assumed
my
you were just gonna go
question,
down
it's
your
over.
list.
Yeah, I
No,
thought that. Yeah,
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I assumed you were
I
just
thought
gonna
you
go
said
down your
you
list.
had questions.
Didn't know if we wanted to space them out. All right,
you
sure.
were hunkered over your notebook, just writing these questions out. I didn't want to interrupt.
I mean, if you'd prefer, I do have a question, but I mean,
Well, now you started it.
I'm on the spot. I'll go. I'll
does
continue.
Crimson
All
want
right,
cap or
I'll go. Okay, so writer,
Yo.
we have now seen 3 movies from you that have gotten 1s.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is: comparing those 3, are they the same to you?
one's as in Snake Eyes?
Yes.
When in you seeing like I see the same flaws, is that what you're asking? Kind of, or do you want me to go like what I view as they have in
comparing the
common?
2, since you're pretty much strictly writing,
Yeah.
do you think the 3 are equivalent in their writing? The 3
Roughly, I'm trying to, in focusing on the writing, they do have some different nuances. I would argue. I think
Doctor Strange,
Marcy's
Velma, and
mom.
Marcy's mom.
Yeah. I would argue of the 3, Marcy's mom's probably has a slightly stronger. What was it? I actually wrote down my notes because I was comparing these 3 in my head at some point or fashion, like a week and a half ago.
Didn't you? It wasn't like the characters were like.
Mostly,
yeah.
mostly like I think it would mostly boil down to the characters being different. Like I think each one of them has like a character that's mostly consistent with just a few odds and ends here and there.
Mm.
But there's such a mess around them that it makes their journey kind of pointless. So this is trying to figure out how best to answer this question. I do see them all as equivalent, though, if that's what you're asking. Like, I do see them all just as bad on the writing terms. Obviously, my subjective rating varies for each one because I definitely enjoyed Doctor Strange 2 a lot more than the Mars Needs Moms and Velma. But that's because I like magic and chaos and shit like that. And it was at least visually appealing. I liked what is it? Sam Raimi's directorial style. He always does it. He's always very good with that. But like I said, that doesn't really factor into the writing part of things. So I do think they all have, if not fairly equivalent flaws, the flaws that they have, the deeper flaws, say, in Doctor Strange would be that would drag it down, might be characters, and then this is just an example and hypothetical because I don't know where my fucking notes are for that. And for example, Velma, I would pick for. Oh wait, hold on. Doctor Strange, I would pick. Plot was such a mess and it dragged it down just a little bit more. Even though I do weigh characters higher. And then for Velma, I'd obviously pick characters, weight it down more. So they are fairly equivalent at the end of it, but they took different roads to get there.
All right. Makes sense. And then Sprinks, my last direct question is: so the season 6 was about the worst movies we've seen. Not necessarily objectively subjective. No, it's probably subjective, but not necessarily objectively the worst. So my question to you is: Mars Needs Moms the lowest movie you've seen objectively, or would there be something else when asked that?
Ooh,
Because you gave it a 3,
I did.
which is the lowest on anything we've seen from you so far. I'm
Actually,
curious if there's anything
his lowest would be
potentially
Velma, I think, objectively. At least we've seen so
Yeah, but
far.
movies.
Oh.
Velma,
movies.
I gave 3.5.
Yeah, Velma was 3 point.
Oh, I'm looking at your ratings, Crimson. That's my bad.
Darn right.
Yes. So far with what we've covered, lowest objective I've given is a 3 to Mars Needs Moms. Your question is there something I've seen that is objectively lower?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, can't think of anything. But I am sure there are things out there that actually one does come to mind because Crimson, it's something you've shared with me that you have deemed multiple times that it is counted as a movie or film. And
Is it
when the
animated?
time it is animated, and when the time comes to when and if we cover that, I have a feeling that my objective score will be lower than a 3, and that is for The Mind's Eye.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought that from you. All right. Well, that
But that's
answered that
saying
question.
right now, I haven't seen Mind's Eye in a while, and I haven't dedicated notes to writing it down on that. That's just something off the top of my head at this moment.
Mhm.
I might have a kind of a question to piggyback off of Crimson for you, Springs. I'm curious as to what it's similar to what he asked for Sinister. It's like, why would something be rated lower than a 3 for you? Like, what would they? Marcy's not being the lowest that you have rated it. What would need to be worse than what we've seen from that in order to get a lower rating from you?
Well, as you know, with my ratings, I try to incorporate everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
if
No, because that's what I'm
there's,
saying. Take your time. Like I said, I know it's a big question for you specifically
I
because it is
think,
your rating scale is
yeah,
you divvy up.
opinionated and on my own, I would say that if things were used not necessarily incorrectly, but used in, one could say, a creative way that just does not work for the film at hand. For example, if there was scenes in a movie where the saturation was just overexposed, it's like, why is it so high? Why is it needed? It's not portraying anything. It's a choice that did not work. I would deem that lower. Or, I mean, a lot of it we've talked about is writing and the scripts and all that through yourself, writer, on what you deem mostly for your objective, and then a good chunk of that from Crimson and partial intake from Sinister. But writing is something we cover a lot, and the writing doesn't necessarily for me make or break a film, but it does definitely injure it on poor writing. I think cinematography, if you have, for example, like Cloverfield, you have that handheld found footage style, but you have running waist shots, sickening, dizziness feel that is just like, yes, it can be deemed as real and panic, and this is how it would actually go, but it's also just over the top and being made
Blair Witch 2.
for a film. Blair Witch, yeah. Things around that nature where it's just, I can't say it's made to be bad. It's a creative choice done by the director or the
Yeah.
lighter or editor or whoever's behind that process of the film that they created that way. Where for me, it just did not work.
Yeah,
It doesn't mesh is in kind of what I said.
Yes.
They're still bad. They just took different roads to reach there. Like
Yes.
things just didn't meet as well.
yeah.
It's a
Like,
really dumb example off the
no,
top of my head,
go for it.
but we've all seen Finding Nemo.
Uh-huh.
I know. And there's a scene in Finding Nemo where they go down the trench and it's pitch black and you just have the voices. The voices, a little bit of sound effect in the background until they meet the anglerfish.
Mhm.
That scene right there, I think, works so well because of the story and the adventure that Marlin and Dory are on to find Nemo, and it works. If the whole movie was in a trench, terrible. Where
No,
there's no
I
animation
disagree.
shown,
No,
it's
I want
great
to see that.
show.
I disagree. I want to see that. But go on.
To me, it would take away so much of the film if it was all like if you watched a movie with your eyes closed. It takes so,
yeah.
but not just
I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
eyes closed, but like actually on screen, like, oh, the whole movie's pitch black.
Yeah.
So something like that.
All right.
Well, you should ask. You should talk to, because I see I've seen like blind people going to movies. I really want to. I'm not even trying to be funny. I honestly want to know how they feel about it, because that would actually be a little bit interesting. Because they only have, it's like radio basically, because they only have like the auditory.
Yeah, they don't get the
I
visual
wonder.
stimulus. It's all audio.
Yeah, I wonder what that's
I'm
like.
sure their
Well,
objective scale would
Sinister,
be
this
vastly
is
different than mine.
Sinister.
Mhm.
This is something you can do. Just
I know.
close your
I know.
eyes.
Well, okay, yeah, but like, I mean, because it's not all blind people, blind from birth, but like, I'm curious specifically, like, for people who've never never seen, they only have like the auditory. Because obviously, I could probably, I mean, you're probably right. It would probably be the same thing for me now if I did it. But it's an interesting thing to me.
Turn the TV off, leave the sound bar on.
Yeah, it's impossible. You can't do that. To piggyback off of what you were saying, Springs, a little bit, because it kind of reminded me of something. Well, I think when you were mentioning, like, sometimes, like, because I think most of the time, I'm not gonna say every time, but I don't think anybody intentionally goes in to make something bad. There's probably several things, but for the grand scheme of things, I don't think anybody intentionally makes something bad. It's what I think Ryder and Springs were talking about, like sometimes things just don't work, or you plan something and you don't have the time, or and you just make do with what you have.
For example, The Room.
The Room, yeah.
I don't think The Room was made to be bad.
No, it's just like all these choices that you. Tommy Wiseau thought were like great. Which, by the way, a little bit of a plug that's not a plug, but watch The Disaster Artist and also read the Disaster Artist book. It is hysterical. It's really interesting too. But anyways, so like, because I heard a really great quote once. I was watching like a little documentary on like decades of movies and stuff, and there was this one. It was like whatever in the 90s or something, and this guy. They were talking about the making or the movie Ed Wood with Johnny Depp by Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about this director Ed Wood, who is known in the business for probably being one of the worst directors, or the director of some of the worst movies ever made in history. And but at least in the movie, like, and obviously he probably did stuff where he made schlock for like money or whatever, that like even he thought was like not good, but did it for the money or whatever. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, you have to have money to do stuff. So you're probably going to do some things you really wouldn't want to do. But like when he was making his own movies, where he had his own idea, like probably the most famous example is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't think he was making one of the worst movies ever. In his mind, he was making like what would be definable by him as like Star Wars, right? Like he didn't. I'm pretty sure, because I think if you love something, you don't want to do you don't want to do something bad. You're not trying to do something bad, but just if you have a low budget, if you have this or that, you have scheduling conflicts, eventually something's just going to happen where it's just going to like think, and it's just going to be like, oh, this is a bad movie now or something. But most of the time, that's a long roundabout way of just repeating, I think, what I said earlier. But I wanted to get that little anecdote in there.
The 9 is in like the end of the movie, like the animation.
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Okay, so
I don't.
not the animation, like with the dolls or whatever.
No, sorry. Yeah, no, that's a really good movie. I really like that movie.
Yeah, that movie was underrated. So that was kind of that's the only one I could think of. So
I found it in like a bargain bin at like I think Fred Meyer's or something once, and I watched it when I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I would talk to people about it, and they would have no idea what I was talking about, and I'm like, and I
yeah,
show it to them, like, this is really good. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's really good. It's awesome.
yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. So we have ostensibly done. I've used that word several times now. I don't know if I'm using it correctly.
So far, you
Apologize in
have
advance.
been.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to reuse it too many times and then I don't know what it means anymore.
Inconceivable.
It's inconceivable. This is facetious. So we have done what would be considered right now our worst season of, or the worst picks or whatever that we've personally seen, and
Mm-hmm.
does anybody want? This is like a all of us question, so I guess we'll go in order here. But is this something we would do again later down the line, or do you think this is something that is kind of just like for this, for this season or whatever, and then we probably won't do anything quite this, specific again? I guess we'll start with
Regarding
lighter.
bad movies or just like a themed?
Well, okay, so I'm asking more just in the way because I think even though we loved making this season because we like doing this, we didn't really like watching any of the things we had to watch. So I'm just curious if this has kind of turned anybody off of doing this, like something this specific further for like each of us, or if this is, something that we would want to do later on down the line again.
So season 6, volume 2.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
I'll start us off then.
Mhm.
I don't have any issue doing this again. I definitely want some space between the seasons because I need like I said I binged an entire anime season to recover, and it for me when I watch bad stuff and then we get to talk about it on here, it kind of turns the podcast into a bit of a therapy session for me where I get to talk about why it's so terrible. So I feel vindicated when people agree with me on certain topics. So I'm not
It
a
helps, yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, it is quite taxing to get through it
Mm.
on your own. Like I said, I don't know how much quote unquote fun it was for all you guys to have with Velma together because I know you all watched it together. That
was probably the only one that I don't think would have been helped by a group thing. Honestly, I think
Fun is a funny word to use.
Yeah,
We were quiet for a lot of it.
Oh,
we
okay.
taking it in.
Okay, that's fair. Like I said, I wouldn't know because I talk out loud whenever I watch movies, like in my room by myself or when I'm with friends. So I think my Velma subjective rating, for example, would have gone up because I would have watched it with you guys and I would have just made like commentary, like out loud. And I think knowing that you guys are there just to hear my live reaction would have probably made me enjoy it more.
Well, Crimson did certainly a lot of physical commentary.
Yeah, he.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get Crimson like a stress ball.
Oh, I got
that was his notepad. His stress ball. He was just writing it all down.
But
I guess I'll answer.
Yeah.
Nope.
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm up for another go. I enjoy watching stuff you guys pitch, even if it isn't good. It's I like movies. Good. If we were to do a theme season that I would have that I'd suffer more than this probably is like a musical season. Like actual musical. I'm not talking about like a Disney movie where there's songs, but like Into the Woods or something. That would be suffering. But I'd still do it, obviously. And then enjoy having the podcast.
You really shouldn't have said that because now we're going to do that.
I'm sure it was done in Spring's mind already.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm up for pretty much any themed season. Because the fun part, even in something bad like this season, is what we're doing right now, talking about it. That's the fun part. So, I'm for it.
I think for me, because I'm going to answer my own question, so that I don't look like I'm not contributing. I think what would really help me if we were to do this again is if we like actually were able to get together, or in some way get together and like watch it together. Because I do think, even though I think Velma was kind of the one thing where it was just going to be a slog no matter what, it still I think was improved a little bit by watching that with you guys. And so
I'm a bond.
now, yeah, I I feel really bad that Ryder had to watch that by himself now.
I can't picture it.
Oh God.
It was
No.
I
It's a 101.
I'll break you down. I'll break down the experience for you really
Please,
quickly.
yeah.
So, what had happened was I got it was 15 seconds in. I think is what I said in the podcast where I said I was 10 seconds in. Oh, Crimson will hate this. I got 15 seconds in and went, no, I fucking hate this. I paused at 15 seconds, went downstairs, tried not to pull my hair out. My family asked what I was doing. I got to rant to them for about 20 minutes. Came back up, finished the first 4 episodes because I watched all 4 of them back to back to back to back. And then and then I did homework and art stuff for school, college. So I didn't have the time to think about it. I also couldn't drink as much alcohol as I normally might to get over it because I had school to do. I had school stuff to do. So it was not a great experience. I was very frustrated. It definitely felt like I could watch Velma, but I could also play World of Warships, or even worse, I could play Fall Guys. It's one of those.
Works.
Yeah, I know what I said. But it was one of those things where I'm like, I want to do literally anything but this. But I was at least able to spread it out over a week. You guys had to do it all in one day, and that to me was far worse.
So,
all right, throw this question at you, Springs.
Definitely. Why the hell not? I'm for it. I am agreeing with what Ryder said. Space it out a bit, but totally down to do it again. Except, we're not going to choose the same pick again. It's like, okay, it's been a couple months to sit on Velma. Let's watch it again. See how? No. We
don't worry. Don't worry. They're coming out with the season 2.
There's plenty of trash out there.
Ryder, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear what I clearly just heard. But the other picks down the line, I think it would be little curveballs we could throw in of like pick a movie someone else isn't gonna like, and then we watch the movie and then we try to guess like who do you think I picked this for, who didn't like it the most, and it's like, oh, Sprinks, you chose it for Crimson. It's like, no, I actually chose it for Sinner. Just little change up kind of thing, but still kind of go with the theme of like choose something bad. So I'm totally game to do it.
All right.
I'm sure in a year's time we'll have seen 100 more movies or something. Yeah, 100 more movies.
Well, about 50.
Well, I will say I am more inclined though about this musical idea that Crimson proposed. That sounds awesome.
It sounds wretched.
You're digging yourself your own grave there, Crimson.
This is a man.
A
man who couldn't even enjoy Rocky Horror Picture Show. So,
let's see. I watched a fair few musicals growing up. I don't know what I would pick for that season. Well, that's for off podcast topics though.
Yeah.
This isn't happening right now.
You and I grew up on separately. I mean, we didn't get together and watch it, but I know when I watched that you watched when we were younger, which was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I don't know if Crimson's ever seen it.
I have not.
That was like a childhood movie for me. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I know I saw Chitty Chitty Bang Bang like every other day growing up until the advent of introduction of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Then I watched that every other day. But I remember, I know I watched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for every other day growing up, but I don't remember anything about it. And here's the thing. I know when I watch it, it's just gonna all come flooding back.
Incentive to do this musical season.
Yeah.
Lies.
It's just gonna all come flooding right back. Because I can remember like images, but not the voices. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Let's do something cool and do like a Bruce Willis season, okay?
Maybe. Why not? Write that down. Someone write that down. No, Crimson. Of course, it can't be all like, top of the food chain over here, Sprinks, like, whoa, musical. And then you're like, I hate all this. We can throw Into the Woods.
No one wants to watch that.
I do.
Even people that like musicals
I've
really don't
seen
want to
it.
watch that.
I would. I want to watch it. I hear so much about it. Sorry,
watched it in
am I making it
theaters.
worse for you, Crimson?
Let's watch Cats. Yeah.
I will
Sure,
watch.
the Lion
I will
is a
watch the
musical? Yeah.
shit out of Cats. I will watch the
What
shit out of
was-
Cats.
What's the movie that you guys keep telling me I need to watch? I know
There's
you
a
guys.
lot.
You guys
Oh,
are.
there's a lot of
There's
them. Yeah.
probably a
No, no, no,
list.
no, no. The one that keeps coming up is the one that you guys are split over. I know Crimson and Sinister like it, and you hate it, Springs.
Oh, Cat in the
Cat in the
Hat.
Hat.
Okay.
Oh, that's not a musical. But
It has musical moments in it.
Cat.
doesn't-
Dr.
that doesn't
Seuss
count as
season.
musical.
There's enough out there for that.
Oh, Dr. Seuss season.
So
We
much.
could do that.
So easy to make.
So many
Good seasons.
ideas.
All right. Well, to pull us back,
Yeah,
Springs,
please.
do you got a question?
I do. I have a question targeted at Sinister, actually. Sinister,
Targeting me again.
yeah, your ratings were a 4 for Thunder Force and a 2 for everything else. So
Mhm.
do you think Thunder Force is twice as good as every other pick in this season?
That's a. You know what? I knew it was going to come up eventually. I am. That's a hard one to. You know,
I guess to help
yeah.
with the question,
Please.
at least my little tip to add to it. How much of Thunder Forces, because you combine ratings, objective, subjective, to get a single score. Is it mostly subjective, objective, compared to the twos you gave, ratio wise?
I like it. A lot of the stuff I think we watched that was bad, was kind of like the worst things about them generally were that they were just boring. I think for the most part they were either boring, or they were really poorly written. I think were like the biggest, problems, and and also edited really poorly. I think in some situations too. But so at least like with Thunder Force, even though it wasn't like a laugh out loud like riot every single scene or whatever. I actually found moments where I enjoyed watching it, and I did get some, I did actually like get some enjoyment out of it because like I think most of the other ones I specifically like probably like Left Behind was one where I was just kind of like I had to walk through it. Velma was definitely a big one where we didn't want to finish that one. But like it was like Thunder Force, I was like, this is actually I can see why people like this, and I can understand why it's and especially with like Melissa McCarthy, I get why people like her and all that stuff. Even though it's not my cup of tea, I can see why people are into it. And so with like Thunder Force, I'll say I had there was and I'm sure we talked about it in the podcast where there was like moments and stuff that I was surprised that I found I liked. So is it Oscar worthy of 2021? No. Is it a little bit stronger than Left Behind? Yes. Is it a little bit stronger than Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers? Yeah. I think so because Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers there was so much about Chip and Dale where I knew what they were referencing and what they were trying to get me to feel like I liked about it, and I knew I didn't like.
I mean, that one was your own pick.
That one, yeah, I know, but I'm saying like even if somebody else had picked that, I wouldn't have I would still have found it revolting, cash grabby, to say the least.
By the way, I know we can totally do another season of this because Thunder Force, if I remember correctly, was Ryder's third pick.
Oh.
Streaming.
Oh,
ratings.
oh yeah.
Can we say what the ones before that were, or do we want to?
Sure, I don't see why not.
We could.
Yeah.
I don't know what my other choice besides Mars Needs Moms would have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first choice was Sausage Party.
So disappointed we didn't get to do that. So disappointed.
Yeah, me too. And on the other hand, I felt like I dodged a bullet.
Hey, we can cover it again.
I don't. I actually don't. And
Later.
here's the thing: I actually don't remember what my second and third choices were because Sausage Party was the pick
the
for like
Hustle?
Yeah,
The
the hustle.
the
The
hustle.
Hustle.
Was your second one?
Yeah, that's your second one.
And Thunder Force was my third one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But then you had a fourth, or like you had like some like if that didn't work out, we had a backup with that. I don't know what
Yeah,
that one
at that
was.
point, I
I don't
had just
remember
started
what
coming
that
up with
one
the
was.
backup. Yeah. I was actually gonna pick the pilot for National Treasure on Disney Plus.
Oh
Oh,
wow. Think we would have had a meeting for that one. Crimson, did you have a backup or a second pick to Left Behind?
Oh, what was is it After Earth or the Will Smith,
Yeah.
Jade Smith movie?
I
Oh,
forgot that
yeah,
movie
yeah.
existed.
Okay.
God
Good
damn it!
choice. I saw that in theaters. Good choice. Okay.
That would have been it if it was available. I don't remember if it was.
I remember being asked about that by you, Springs, of whether you guys should go see After Earth or something else, and then I said
Oh,
don't.
it was After Earth or Star Trek Into Darkness.
And I remember begging you guys to go see Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, don't spare
I
yourselves.
was at a birthday party, and it was a vote of like the guest of like what to choose. I think I was the only one who said Star Trek.
So you
I'm so
had to
s-
watch After Earth.
and then that is a case of where democracy is not working.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is the case of that. I don't think and just to I guess go up off of that, I struggled to find one thing because most of the stuff that I really didn't like, I think we already watched that was somewhat recent was for the podcast, like Jurassic World Dominion was
Cranks.
Cranks, yeah. So I was struggled to find one, and I was like, you know what? I didn't really care for Chip and Dale, and then I was like, I'm gonna put that in. Everybody's gonna think it's an okay movie. Everybody's gonna like. I'm just be like, oh yeah, I really didn't like it, but it's okay if you guys. And then I was so surprised that everybody felt somewhat similar to how I felt about it. I was like, okay, I made the right choice.
It was okay, objective.
Yeah, it's a movie that exists. You're correct. Yes, they finished the movie. Yeah.
My backup pick, Marcy's Moms, would have been I think it's a Netflix original called The Package.
Oh,
Ugh.
yes. Oh, that's a stinker.
Not familiar.
I think that came across my radar at some point too. Actually,
Yeah, I couldn't finish it.
But hey, could cover it later down the road.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a possibility.
possibility.
I mean,
but
we'll have to.
possibility.
We'll have to make a new season for Velma too, season 2, right? Like we're gonna have
Stop
to do it
it.
again.
Stop saying
Get
that.
some
Please.
help.
Stop. We almost have to go to
Coming muffled?
therapy now.
Can't-
Yeah.
This is our therapy. We can't afford it.
No, I know.
Fun recap. I
Uh,
believe
Do
that's
it.
my
Turn off the internet.
last like personal questions than the general ones we usually go with. But
I got one question, but let's do a general one. Let's do a classic general question.
ooh, writer, why don't you pick then?
Hold on. I gotta pull it up in chat because I always forget.
Vamp.
Pish
All
posh.
right. I'm not gonna ask what your favorite character. Well, actually, you know what? That would be
It's
really
Wacky
interesting.
Oscar
That would be
time.
interesting to do it this season. Who is your favorite character this season?
Ooh.
Boy, character, not
They
actor.
were all a bunch of characters.
Yeah, who are you shooting that to first?
Since you pointed out Crimson, I'm gonna shoot it at you first.
I should be last because I pointed it out. I was helping you.
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
Ah,
Favorite
jeez,
character.
Rick.
Oh, shoot. God, let's see. Velma, no. Left Behind, no. Underforce, The Daughter, the Crab was good. And Mars Needs Moms, what was it? Griddle or something?
Yeah. Gribble.
Gribble. Was Gribble better than Daughter and the Crab? No. I'll say the Crab. The Crab is my
Damn it.
favorite character
Jason
in
Bateman.
this season.
Damn it!
Yeah.
You're still mine. If I have to go, if
Could
we're
pick
doing,
it and a backup.
yeah, okay. So I'll say he was either the half Korean or a Gribble.
That was funny.
Okay.
Springs.
Mine would be Roger Rabbit in Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Oh, come on.
You
what a
come
cop out.
on.
What
That's not a character.
How about a real character?
That's a reference.
Line.
That's a reference, if anything.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. Old Sonic would count.
Yeah,
I mean, Ugly
That's
Sonic.
true.
I'm not
He was a
choosing
character in
Ugly
it.
Sonic. No. Oh, can I say Lumiere? Is that a better character?
Oh my. Sprinks.
Is Lumiere better than Roger? I mean, Roger Rabbit's in one scene.
How about a main cast member or side character instead of a background character?
How about somebody that
Okay,
had more than 2
fine.
lines?
Lumiere headlines.
More than 2?
I think so. Yes, but okay.
Oh, that's
He also had more than one scene. Let's look here.
pick what you can pick.
I can't remember his name, but the angry, pessimistic guy in Left Behind, who's against every other thought of what the heck was going on.
Oh,
little guy?
The pirate.
the guy from Pirates.
Yes.
He was a character.
Yeah, that's
he
fair.
was. He was a little angry guy, wasn't he?
I think he was just an angry guy. I don't think you have to say he was little.
Mine would probably be between the crab and I don't remember the character's name, but so forgive me. But the police sergeant from Chip and Dale.
Oh,
the
yeah,
clay guy.
Yeah, J.K.
no,
Simmons.
yeah.
Simmons?
Yeah,
J.K. Simmons, yeah, Clops or whatever.
Putty.
Putty.
Putty, that's what it is.
Captain Putty.
Captain Putty.
Yeah.
That's true. He was good.
That was the name that Plastic Man was going to go with before he settled on Plastic Man. It's going to be Captain Putty.
Oh, can I say Paul Rudd? Rescue Rangers, that count?
Man, you're really trying to go all the way around, aren't you?
Yeah.
The Aunt Man.
Aunt Man.
Yes. The Aunt Man.
That was a good line. Can't say it wasn't good.
Well, was that question easier or harder than least favorite character across this?
Probably,
Oh, that's easy. Least favorite is easy.
We're all gonna have the same answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah.
All right.
Countdown.
We'll do the same time.
Right.
3,
1. Oh.
2.
Are we doing it on 1 or after 1?
We'll do it after 1. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Velma.
Damn you! You did that on purpose.
Did well, Brutus.
You waited a beat after.
Well, that's what we said, didn't we?
Yeah, no, but you waited 2 beats.
It was all the same answer.
Yeah, all the same answer. Just like edit it
Velma.
so it corrects.
All right. So I guess the more interesting question would be second least favorite character.
Oh,
Do we count that one down too?
Manny.
Manny.
I'll accept that.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Velma alter ego.
Let's see. I guess Peter Pan, Chip and Dale. He kind of sucked.
I do like Will Arnett voicing him, but yeah, he was kind of a meh villain.
Yeah, that's
because like everyone in Left Behind, who cares about them? They're nothing.
I mean, they
Marge
are
needs
just,
moms.
Yeah, even God abandoned
Same.
them.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true. They weren't worth the time. Thunder Force. Peter Pan would be my backup.
Ow.
Keeping people away from Velma, anyways, because there's a lot of bad characters.
Sinister.
I can't say another Velma character.
No, you can.
No, I was
Wait,
limiting
he was
myself.
just he was.
That was a
limiting
self
myself.
limiter. You do what you want. All right, Sinister.
Second least favorite character. Oh man, there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a lot.
The running for the first place was obvious. Like it ran away with it. It got like 100,000 points, and everyone else just got like 20. Like they still passed the worst character thing, but they didn't just they didn't go for the superstar. Like,
we didn't forget about you. We didn't forget about all you background guys. Gee, they have like I keep just going for like hollow, but like all the that would be like any of the characters in Left Behind are all just like hollow husks of. It's just like whatever the description was on like the casting call sheet is what that character entirely was.
I don't know what you're talking about. Captain Raymond Steele is an amazing and wonderful.
You're gonna read all those books, right? All 16 of them.
It's on my to-do list.
You might actually like them more than the movie.
I probably might.
I like
but
Secret Garden more as a book.
so far, yeah, I am.
That's hard. It's hard to. Somebody else
We need a
go.
little time. Someone
Yeah,
else.
somebody else
You got
go.
yours?
Well, yeah. Fred Jones.
It's fair choice. Fair choice.
Yeah. If I couldn't use Velma again, because that's why I was asking, Crimson here,
Yeah.
I'd go with Dale.
Wow,
Yeah.
you really didn't like Dale.
Dale was a scummy jerk.
Yeah.
His
Dale was way
redemption,
better than Chip.
his redemption was like the roller coaster at Glove World.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh. Ooh.
Come on.
Wow.
All right. Let's see. Second least favorite character for me. I'm probably gonna go with Melissa McCarthy's character.
Shoot, the Hammer. I don't remember her name.
The Hammer.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either. It's like, I'm trying to forget this season. Okay.
Yeah, that's the other problem I have. I'm like, I blocked a lot of it from my memory. I don't remember like everybody.
All right, Sinister.
Oh,
You had your time.
yeah. The freaking somebody in Left Behind. It's either somebody in Left Behind or it's like freaking the what was
daughter, the photographer.
No, probably the daughter. Probably the daughter because not even like it's not. It wasn't the actress's fault, but like she was just. They just wrote her so stupid. I don't know why they went like above and beyond to make her just be like not a smart character, and it was like it didn't even fit half the time. It was just
to
like
the hospital because my brother disappeared in my arms.
Yeah, so obviously
he's at the hospital.
Yeah.
And she broke in because she didn't want to go to the front door
and ruined the security for the the hospital where people need security the most in that entire time. So yeah, probably just that, and it's not like the lady did a good job, but yeah, that character is not good.
All right, we all gave our answers to that.
Go
with another general, or right? Are you shooting out yours?
I do got one broader question, I suppose, because I'm curious where the line falls for everyone. It sort of came up in Velma, and this is going to be a principal thing, despite the start of the question.
Mm-hmm.
At what point I'll try to figure out best answer this. So I have to frame this right, because otherwise it's going to sound really terrible. Which should give everyone a hint of where this is going to go.
Well, for this season, it's fitting.
Yeah, it's true. So gender swapping and race swapping characters So is becoming a more regular occurrence when it comes to reboots, quote unquote reimaginings, and other various forms of media, and when they're bringing back old content and trying to recreate it. So I am curious where everyone's line is when it comes to that, because it kind of was highlighted a little bit in Velma, because characters got race swapped. But I'm curious what everyone's stance is going to be on that. So
this sounds like a great question for Crimson to start with.
I'll. Do you want to go first, Crimson? Because I know we had the clearest distinction between our answers first. So,
so I pretty much answered this question within the Velma podcast at the very end, but I'm pretty much against it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the boat of diversity, representation, blah blah. That's fine, but if you're going to do it right, do it well. Make original stuff. If you're taking a property like Scooby-Doo, where none of the cast is dark-skinned, Introduce a different character. We got Gigi. Gigi was the best character in the Velma show for me.
Surprisingly, yeah.
So it could be done. It's not a difficult task. But they want to take the easy route where they just take an existing property and change them. They don't care, actually. If they cared, they'd want to make their own thing, but they don't.
Yeah.
They just want to taint or change what's already existed because it's easy. So be original. Use your creativity, Hollywood. Come on. Most of it, like I said, is in Velma. Go watch it. But
yeah. I think that because I did have to think about this because it is something that it does bother me, but I will tend to overlook it when it's well done. And I think my slight counterpoint, I suppose, to that would be, and this is terrible to think about, but Velma was somebody's first introduction to the Scooby-Doo universe.
that's so sad.
I know. It's very
Yeah,
true,
it's
but it's very true though.
Yeah.
So then, if the next iteration comes along and Velma's is once again white skinned, what are they gonna think? As like their interpretation of the character, pretty much. Like obviously,
Well,
in the instance of Velma, it was done for a very specific purpose. We definitely discussed that over the podcast. But in that instance, that's why I don't think I can't objectively call that a problem. Whether I subjectively am annoyed by it, because I'm on your side, Crimson, like ultimately, where I would prefer them to be original, but I don't take issue with gender swap and race swapping if they still stay true to the core parts of the character. Because if everything else worked with Velma, let's say Velma was in character for everything else, like she was everything we remembered her to be, pretty much. She had all her normal character traits and she wasn't a bitch or an asshole. I would have probably said, "No, it's okay. It was good, well done." I would still note that she was race swapped, but it wouldn't be an issue, more or less. It would be like just something to note. Like you can nitpick it, but it doesn't really take away from the story that I'm supposed to be enjoying, if that makes sense.
Okay, Sprinks, since you usually try to keep a certain level here, can I bring up the Green Lantern example I talked to you and Sinister about?
Sure.
Okay. So let's say we get a Green Lantern movie and Hal Jordan has been race swapped. He is now a black man. And I show someone who doesn't know that this remake's being made this picture and say, who is this? They're going to be like, oh, that's Jon Stewart. No, that's race swapped Hal Jordan. So there is a purpose to characters' appearances. That's why costumes are iconic. Superman is Superman when he's got his outfit on. Even when they change it, like Red Sun, that still looks like a Superman outfit. They just changed it to fit the aesthetic they're going for. So appearances to me are very important with a character's identity as well as their characteristics. So I brought up in Velma, you can list characteristics and that could fit a lot of different characters. But once you slap a visual to those characteristics, you know who it is. You can even just show a picture of a character with no characteristics and you know who it is. But I think it all encompasses what a character is. So that's for me, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll move this on to who wants to go next. I'll put it as voluntary.
I'll go next.
Okay.
We'll go in order, I guess. I inherently, I don't have any problem, or I don't have, I think, me and Crimson, I think I've gone back and forth on this, and he usually thinks I'm not being accurately, I guess, not being sort of on the fence more than being on a side of it, but I think it's fair.
If you're on the fence with it, you can just specify that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just define where you stand on it, because it is a very divisive topic in today's art, culture, media consumption. So,
I I don't think I inherently have a problem with it, because I've seen, like, there's versions of it in a bunch of, early mainstream media stuff. Like, I think the biggest one would probably be like Nick Fury and, the Marvel movies and everything, or even before that in like the Marvels or whatever, right? Or Ultimate Marvel, I think, was when he was created, and and that, I think that's good, and that's really good. And you could argue, I think, especially on Crimson's point, that it's because he's still the same character and he doesn't do anything effectively different than, what the original Nick Fury, or the, original version of Nick Fury anyways, did. And honestly, I think in like comic books, it's a little bit easier because you can have a bunch of different versions of the same character, because it's all different universes or whatever, and you can try different stuff. And I think that is a cool thing that you can do in that medium. And I don't, you can kind of do what if scenarios, or not even what ifs, but just, like, this is this universe, but this guy happens to be this or whatever, and you can add different flavorings. And I think that's my only problem with it, that I can say that I feel, really passionate about, is I don't like it when they do it and it doesn't it has really no purpose to the character's story or the character's arc in any form or fashion, and it's just because, they feel they need representation. And my answer to that is always, well, write a new character who's as good as that character, who is that, or what, I
Takes their character traits and put them
yeah.
into something new.
Yeah, because I do think, it's more honestly, if I was going to take a strong stance on either side, I think it's more offensive to have somebody, have like them be in like some placeholder or something, than to write something that is deserving and worth, of that character. Because I think if you just have it be, hey, we're gonna do, Superman, but we're gonna have him be like, I don't know, like Asian or something, and it's like, well, no, why don't we just have like a guy who's as good and as, cool as Superman, and have him be, it's because, and I know it's like, some people would be like, well, I like to, I want to be, I want to see myself in, this thing, and I think that's an important thing. But give them their own thing. Don't just give them you know, a reworked version of something that somebody else has, that, give them their own thing. I think that's what most of those people want. They don't want
They don't
just,
want hand-me-downs.
yeah, it's I think that's like that's more important. And honestly, with a lot of the voices that have been coming out, of different, races in film and TV and stuff, I think they're definitely taking the better road with making their characters, making their own thing. And it's just really these kind of like big, you know Hollywood mogul people or whatever, who are kind of just taking the lazy route and just, reworking what they've already got, instead of trying to actually create something that, a lot of these people deserve to see, which is something of their own. And I think that's the biggest problem that I have with it. If I have a problem with it, is that I think it's lazy, and I don't think it actually supports the people who want to see themselves in movies and TV and, anything.
Before we go to Sprinks, like a good example, like of that being done really well, I think is Everywhere All at Once.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah, like that to me is like what I think is diversity at its best, where they're expressing for a very specific community, and they do such a wonderful job with it that and the story is just extremely well written, and it's good. That's what people are craving, I think, as well.
I knew nothing about like that culture at all, but I I found myself really, really, really invested in it and really into it, and I understood, I understood more than I didn't even if I didn't expect to, and I think that's the best thing you can get out of something like that.
Mhm. And then Sprinks.
I'll keep it a little briefer to
Yeah,
not
sorry,
just
I went off.
piggyback off
Yeah,
of not
yeah.
not to piggy off of Sinister Crimson and yourself, Ryder. I think it's fine, totally fine, acceptable. And this is going for not original, going for things that are already made, which is the swap to begin with. Um, the ones established to new, and I think it's fine. Especially, I think it becomes a little more of a problem depending on how much it's saturated in the piece it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the new Little Mermaid coming out with what was it, Halle Bailey being Ariel, totally fine. I think that's great. I think in the case of Velma, a lot of the characters are swapped, and it gets to the point where it just feels a little um, unnatural. Where it's being made for a point, which is fine if done right and well. But in the case of Velma, it's used as a joke, something to spit on, and problematic.
Yeah, I mean, also, well, I
Where
mean,
it don't,
they also like didn't bring anything about the original characters that we liked about them too. Like they're all completely different, which
that's
doesn't
true,
help.
already established. I no, it doesn't help. I think it can be done okay to give a new sight, a new look on a character, in a creative format. But in the form of Velma, where it's so much hate, negativity, and toxicity, didn't work, at all, for all of us that have stated. And if you want more clarification on that, audience, go listen to that podcast episode we
Mhm.
did. I think, yeah, I think it can be done right, but like Nick Fury, for example, they didn't make Nick Fury to be Samuel L. Jackson to just spit on jokes or comments of why he's black now. They did it, and it's not even looked at that way. It's just Samuel Jackson is Nick Fury. There's no comment on anything of that nature. You don't have there's no Falcon going up and calling him brother in that regard. There's um Nick Fury isn't present in, well, Falcon and Winter Soldier is another thing, but that's not swapping
Mhm.
for
That's a different
Falcon
Yeah.
kind of
or
mess.
Winter Soldier. That's a different mess. Um, but in that example, it's totally fine. It works, and it works really, really well. A lot of people can't see Nick Fury any other way now. Um, so I think in the example, as I said, it if it works right, it works right. Other time, for example, of Velma, it just does not.
Right. And that was my question, the heavy question of the day for me.
The heavy question.
All right. You want to go back to something light, Crimson? Or you want to?
Something light. Shoot. I guess one more general one. Going for a while here. So I'll bring up our who, least favorite scene.
Least favorite scene.
Least favorite.
I know mine.
That was fast. All right, go ahead, Sprinks.
Oh, mine's
I need
the
to
what was
stew
it?
on it.
Fog Fest episode 7, Velma, of the original Scooby Doo background music during the doors and the costume change comment and all that. Hated all of that. I was physically uncomfortable and wanted to get out of my own skin.
Yeah. You ever felt physically attacked as a fan? That's what that felt like.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, easy question for me.
Yeah, I'm going through the list. I'm inclined to agree. Just that episode as a whole. every I guess I have to pin it down. I guess it's just that the man montage. I guess my life is easier. That that really got under my skin. Um, so I guess that would be my answer. The man montage.
there's so I'm trying to narrow down a Velma scene that really pissed me off.
It doesn't have to be Velma. You got 4 other options to
Well,
go
that's the
with.
thing. Velma's the one that walked away with all the wins. Like,
Yeah.
I never. Yeah, Velma is the easy choice for me. I just don't know which one I'm gonna pick.
Yeah, Crimson, you could have narrowed down and said we couldn't choose Velma.
I'm gonna pick the montage in Velma at the last episode where she's listening to all of Norval's voicemails. That was, to me, was just the most like desperate plea from the writers, like, you care about this, right? And I was like, at that point I was 10 episodes in, and I just was like, fuck no, I'm not. You didn't earn any of it.
Earn this?
No. I'm probably gonna go with that. Sinister.
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I missed it.
Least favorite scene.
Least favorite scene. And I'm gonna try to break. It would have been in Velma, but we've already said Velma, so I don't really want to. I want to try to differentiate here. The freaking rap scene in Chippendale.
Oh,
shoot, that was
that's a good
bad
one.
too. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah, that was.
Well, I mean, you would know that music, man. So
you're right. You're right. I would. There's definitely probably something worse in Velma, but just for differentiation, I'm like, yeah, that was pretty cringy.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. No one disparages you for your choice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, since we have been going on for a while, Sprinks, you want to read our socials before?
Oh shoot! Yeah, I didn't begin with that. That didn't get put on me. Oops.
Ooh.
My mistake. Hey, everybody, audience. Well, thank you for listening. Really appreciate that. Give us a follow on all the social media platforms we have. We're at Cheap Seat Critics on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and we're Cheap Seat Critics Podcast over on Facebook. And there's I don't know what they're called, group things.
Something, yeah.
But we put updates of that over there as well, and we are at youtube.com/@cheapseatcritics as well if you want to see our PNG tubers we have and the movie or show, whatever we're covering at the time, slideshow. And we also have a LetterBox if you're interested in more of the math and graphs of averaging out scores and everything we have for our stuff.
Yeah, and kind of to piggyback off that, I'll just go right into mine. So yeah, as you said, our visual side of things is on YouTube. You can watch our PNG tuber stuff, but you can also find us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Castbox, and Pocket Cast, and Samsung, and where we just have the audio side of things. Feel free to leave comments, tell us how much you hate our opinion and how much you like it. We'd really appreciate it.
That's something we didn't state, actually. Did anyone find any comments or anything from the
That's
audience?
what I was going to bring up.
For the recap?
I have nothing on my end.
Nothing on mine.
I have nothing over here from me.
No, I don't have anything as well. I think my only comment is on a YouTube video, and it's for me.
Oh, well, that doesn't count. Self-insert? No.
No, not at all.
No, we're above that.
Yeah. So
since it seems like we're wrapping up, I'll throw in our typical last question of how the season went. We'll go in our normal order, I guess, of writer.
I liked being with you guys. Painful season. Need more alcohol.
All right. Yeah, this, I think, content-wise, decent season. Personal viewing, harsh. I got brutalized by everybody and myself.
Mars needs Mars subjective.
10 out of 10 would do it again. Yeah, but, yeah, decent season. Sinister.
Yeah, I mean, from a content perspective, I'm sure everybody out there in video land loved it. Me personally, there was a few moments when we were recording that I enjoyed it. Probably when we were watching most of it, did not enjoy very few moments. Enjoyed very few moments, even probably with fewer in between. I would definitely do it again, but it's gonna probably be a pretty long time.
And Springs.
I think it was a wonderful season. I really like the theming of adding more flair and spice into the past seasons we've done. Subject matter for that case, entertaining. I'm sure in the recording side of things, and the intake and note writing, bad. Not necessarily as fun as other things we've done, but I'll do it again.
All right. I guess I have been a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
I'm a character called Sinister Boy.
And I'm Sprinks.
Yeah, keep an eye out for cheap things next season.
Oh, this is where we do that. Yeah.
Sure, why not? Yeah, but
we don't know what's in store. Will or not, it'll be good. That was a really bad one.
Classic.
I feel like leaving
That's
that in.
good.
That was funny. All right. Anyways,
What a
audience,
mess.
see you later.
Bye.
Cool.
Bye.